seconds to get rolling. Because last time it cut off the beginning. I was super sad. All right, so this is Roberto. You are back with another Steambox podcast. Steambox homies, please say what's up.
What's up?
Yo,
Starbucks.
I am super excited. Starbucks needs to be sponsoring us because for the second week in a row.
Second year. What are you talking
about? No. So the podcast turned 2 years old. The podcast turned 2 years old 1 week ago. And on that same day, we finally hit number one. I don't know if you know this.
I see that on Facebook.
Our podcast is finally because I've been obnoxious about it. Today we got a guest. He is in via Google Hangouts. It's Arizona. You calling in from Arizona?
Yes, correct.
So my man's in Arizona. We've got MegaRan, and LA Weekly says random's proven. MegaRan, aka Random. Random's proven that he can excel in storytelling, punchlines, poignancy, freestyling, and well, pretty much any other way you can measure an MC. Phoenix News Times says one of the most prolific and innovative rappers of the 21st century, my man Raheem, aka Random, aka MegaRan. Please say what's up.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing?
What's going on?
It's good to be here.
We are happy to have you here, man. My students, we talked about this last week. We try to get prepared sometimes, so they've got a bio for you and a whole bunch of questions. Does anybody want to start? Go ahead, Malate, nice and loud, please.
It says you broke a record. Which record was it?
This year, the Guinness World Records people called me, and is everything okay? Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Good. It got real quiet. The Guinness World Records people sent me an email saying that I had amassed the most number of video game remixes, like songs that were remixed out of video game tracks and made into new tracks, about one particular game, which was MegaRan, my favorite. So they invited me out to London to the headquarters to rap live at the office, and then they gave me a plaque. We did a photo shoot. So I'm in the 2019 Guinness World Records book and Gamers Edition. If you guys ever see that around, grab that. I'm in there with a big picture of my mug because there were over 130 songs that I've done, like remixed out of video game tracks. And apparently this was a record that I had no idea about.
Yo, I don't know how much you know about Steambox, but we're basically like, my man Jose is in our commercial saying, if you are a nerd, we're the place for you, right? Like he's in our commercial. You're talking to the right crowd for that particular record.
Nice.
That's kind of dope. Wait, so you went into where in London? Was it like, not Capcom, right? They're in Japan probably.
No, they're in Japan. It's the Guinness World Records office, which is in London.
Oh, so a particular office.
Yeah.
Yo, that's dope.
Yeah, they were like, this is a record, and it's the first time we've counted it, but it's definitely something that's like they think will stand for a while. So I'm like, that's cool.
What was so that must have been exciting for you. What was like the most exciting achievement for you so far?
Well, honestly, I think getting an album to this year in June, I put out an album called Emerald Nights 2, and it debuted at number 22 on Billboard for rap albums. And I think about, man, with all the rap albums that come out all over the world every day, the thing that I do with considered nerd rap, it's not something I ever thought could be like successful, especially on like a commercial level. But to see the list of 22 and be like, yo, I'm right there, 3 away from, I don't know, Lil Wayne or Kanye or other like huge acts, made me feel like really like special, like I belong, And I think that was a really cool moment for me to let me know that what we do. You guess what's that?
Not even special. That Kanye is special because Kanye is special in a whole different way. So definitely special in your own context.
But yeah, we hear all the time like, oh, you make this like very niche music for nerds and a very small group of people, which is maybe true, but I think that nerds are everywhere. Like we're all nerds, and these comic book movies. I use a great example, the Marvel movies that pop up, and it's like these are movies for nerds. you know, but yet they're now pop culture. Like everyone loves them. So nerd culture is becoming pop culture, and I think that we should never underestimate how like mighty that we as the nerdy people are. You know.
Yeah, it could be used for good, but it could also be used for evil too. I have one asshole that's in this group who likes to taunt some of my other Marvel nerds by saying, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so well," and he just makes the rest of us cry. Oh, where is he? I think he just bounced. Yeah, man, it could be used for evil. Nicole has a question.
Hi. Relating to the nerd.
I can't see you. Where are you? Hey.
Okay. Was there any like point in your life where you didn't want to be a nerd?
Well, yeah, growing up, I mean, I grew up in Philadelphia in kind of a rough area where being a nerd was not cool. Like, it absolutely was not. Like, we would have to, like, you know, like hide our nerdiness and pretend we weren't into comic books and video games and those things, and get chased, you know, home from school and things like that by the tough kids because they thought that, you know, it just wasn't cool. So at that time, I still never didn't want to be a nerd, but it made me kind of want to hide it just for my own protection, you know. And I never want to be like that again. And I think that we're in a good place now where kids don't have to do that anymore. You know, like kids can skateboard, they can listen to rap music, they can read comic books, they can code, they can write, they can do all these different things. And there's nobody saying like, oh man, that's the stuff that nerds do, or that's the stuff that white kids do, or that's the stuff, you know. And I think that we're not limited anymore by those weird things that we used to go through as kids in my day.
Do you think the pendulum will ever swing back and nerds will start getting wedgies again?
No, I don't think so. Nerds, if anything, will give wedgies to other nerds, and I feel like it's kind of happening now, like where the internet is creating this hierarchy of nerds, where it's like, oh well, you're not a big as nerd as I am, so now I'm going to clown you about, you know, you liking stuff that isn't canon in the movies, or you know, weird stuff like that. Are you seeing this, like where, like the Star Wars fans, like the fandom has gotten really toxic? Where people are like, oh, why'd you put this Asian girl in here when this was supposed to be a white guy, you know? And like, so it's still kind of toxic at times. And I think that we as nerds have to pay attention to that and make sure that we're not becoming the bullies, you know?
I hear you, man. One Punch Man versus Goku. That's all the time, man. That's dividing crowds, man. It's dividing my own house.
Absolutely.
Who else has a question?
Me.
I have like 5, but I want you. Go ahead.
How long have you been doing this for?
Well, I guess, I mean, I was writing stuff since like 8th grade. I've been writing songs, and playing video games probably longer than that. But when I first started putting them together, it was right after I got out of college. So I was maybe 22 or so, 23, when I really started taking music seriously. But my mother always said, make sure you get your education first. So she made me make sure that I graduated before I could pursue any music career.
Yeah.
Oscar.
Have you ever thought about making a movie about yourself, like about how why you
A
went through-
MegaRan movie.
I think about a play a lot of times, you know, and it's funny, like right before like Hamilton got big, I woke up with a dream about a play, like a stage play, loosely based on my life. I made an album a few years ago when I first quit my teaching job called Language Arts, and it's like this comic book story and a video game about a teacher who like at night is like a secret superhero, and that's the kind of story I would like to make and work that into, if not a movie, at least on the small screen, which then you won't have to pay as much, you know, to get it done or have the big budget. You could just get some people together and make it happen. So, good question. I don't know if I'm movie worthy yet. There's not enough like deception and like drugs and death in my story to make a good movie probably. But at least I think it would be a good play.
Who's your female lead in your movie? And that's assuming genders and sexuality, but like who would be the female lead?
That is assumptive, but correctly assumptive. I would say
And feel free to.
Zoe Saldana would be my my lead, or
Are we talking brown Zoe, blue Zoe, or green Zoe?
How about all of them? We get a brown in the beginning, and then she goes green, and then by the end she can be blue.
I feel like this became a movie about her, and you just fortunate enough to begin it. Do you guys know Zoe Saldana? Do you know who we're talking about? She is Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
And she was the Na'vi main character from Avatar, and she's in a whole bunch of other like really dope things. Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
badass Dominican.
I know who she is.
All right, calm down.
She's from Colombia. Sorry.
Did you guys hear that they said that they've already shot the next Avatar movies?
Please go to room 111 for the movie at this time. Please go to 111 if you are in the Boys and Girls Club after school program. Thank you.
Somebody tell her to stop making announcements. MegaRan, one more time.
Oh, did you hear that they just announced that the Avatar, like the next 2 movies have been shot already? Like they're working on like 4 more.
Yo,
They need to release that.
they're betting on themselves. It was Ripley. What's her name from Aliens? Sigourney Weaver. She's already working on part 4 and 5. Yeah, like 2 and 3 haven't come out yet. She's already working on part 4 and 5, is what she said. He's banking on himself. His movies better be dope. He
And
better
it's so funny because at the same time, James Cameron, the guy who did it, that's the Titanic dude too. He was the one hating on the comic book movies, like, oh, we're gonna get comic book burnout with all these Avengers movies. How many are they gonna make? Haha. And now he's talking about making 5 Avatar movies. That's pretty funny that he would say that.
That's that haterism right there, because this dude was for the longest time trying to get Spider-Man off the ground in the early 90s, wasn't it?
Now you hating on him, on his opinion.
I'm just saying, but that's the dude who is now trying to hate on Marvel and stuff. So I think he got a little salty when his numbers started losing to Marvel, because he was the king of the box office.
Oh yeah, Titanic was the biggest movie ever till Avengers and all this stuff came around.
And Black Panther.
Oh.
We had you gotta follow our social media, man. We had Princess Shuri in here teaching engineering yesterday, and that was pretty dope. They made the Kamoyo beads and everything. That was fresh. Let me ask you, the students got questions, but I want to ask you about being an educator. Like, why did you decide to become an educator, and why did you decide to leave?
Well, I think that education kind of found me. I was in college and I was kind of undecided, and I had a lot of like 2 or 3 of my professors say like, hey, Mr. Jarvis, I really think you'd be a great teacher. You know, like you debate great, your talks like stimulate thought and questions, and I think you'd be a good teacher, so it might be something you want to look into. And so when I heard that like twice, it made me think, well, I don't have any other plans. I was just going to school, figuring life out, and spending thousands of dollars to do it. So I was like, well, I may as well look into this. And so there was a program in Philly, Teach for America, and they sent me to a school, and I really fell in love with it. I started teaching 8th graders, and I just really liked the fact that 8th graders are at an age where they really need guidance, you know, and but at the same time they can be very resistant, but they keep you young, you know. They're very fresh and spry, and I'm trying to think of all the good terms instead of just saying they're just crazy badasses, but they're very youthful, and I think that can help to keep you young and updated, and you can be real with them and have lots of great moments and memories. So I really fell in love with teaching from that. I was only going to do it 1 year. They said I only had to do it 1 year to get my like loans paid back, and then I just kept doing it until my music started taking off on the internet, and people started asking me to come out and play shows, and I was making more money from the shows they were having me play than I was teaching, you know. So it just really was a matter of survival, where I was like, man, as a teacher, I might have to get a second job, or I can go like free up my schedule and go start doing things that I love and travel and all that. So basically I would still teach if they paid enough.
Sponsored to go out and do shows now, right? Like, did I see Sci-Fi Network had you out doing Comic-Cons and stuff?
Yes, I'm in a Sci-Fi Network commercial. It usually comes on every day during WWE Raw or SmackDown on Monday or Tuesday. And it's on the front of their YouTube page. It's me like freestyling out in front and at the Comic-Con. And there's a commercial where they show all these images, then they just have a picture of me like, you know, in the front. And Yeah, man, that was just a cool lookout. They didn't like pay for me to come or give me a ton of money. It was just like, oh, you're here and you have a really unique skill set, and we think it would be cool. So let's try it out. So we did something really nice, and yeah, they just looked out, man. My boy Juan at Sci-Fi has been a fan of me, so that just kind of lucked out, where a guy who was into my stuff was in a position to put me in a really cool spot. So yeah, we get a lot of that, like being nerds. Our fans are also nerds, and they're also very educated. They also keep really good jobs, and they wound up in cool places. Like we have I have a fan who's a literal rocket scientist who like took my friends to like a lab to look at all the crazy stuff he's working on. So yeah, we have a very unique fan base of very smart people who want to like support us and bring us into their world. So I'm thankful for that.
When we get offline, I actually had some of that for you too. I wanted to talk about an opportunity to collaborate that I think might be, if you were interested in, it might work out really cool. We might actually fly you in for something like that. Are you coming up to PAX, man? You coming up to PAX East?
I think so. I mean, I have not confirmed it yet, but they told me that it's a possibility. So I just got to follow up. But I would like to. I wasn't at PAX East last year, but I've been there like almost every other year. So I would like to be there.
We gonna get some tickets and go up there on a Saturday, man. Let us know. We will deliver you a Steambox T-shirt and take some pictures with you and stuff. We will do all of that. Keep me in the loop. Brotherly has a question.
But anyways, so.
But anyway.
But like you said that you was like a nerd, which you basically are. Anyways, but you also love music. When did you think of putting it together? Where it was like, hey, I'm gonna make these remixes and I'm gonna post them and see what they do.
Man, I was just bored, honestly. I was bored on the internet, and okay, so I was already making like hip hop tracks. I moved to Phoenix for a teaching job. Phoenix was boring as hell, and there was no people around really to hang out with. And so I was just messing around making beats online. And then I found a website where you could download the music from the video game. And I was like, oh snap. Now if I take this music and then sample it into my sampler like I've been doing with jazz records or funk and soul records, let's see what happens. So I started chopping them up and sampling them, and it sounded good. And I was like, oh snap. So I was scared to put it on the internet because I thought I would get sued. These are like things that I don't own, and I didn't know how the game companies would feel about it. So I put it down on the internet under like a fake name on a fake account, and then it got a bunch of downloads. And then I got an email from Capcom, which is the company that owns MegaRan, and I thought they were about to sue me and shut me down, but they were like, we like this, and we would like for you to work with us to help promote. So if I wouldn't have had the guts to put it out, then I wouldn't even be here right now, So that should be a lesson to people, whether you're bored or whatever. If you get those wacky ideas, man, and nobody else has thought of it, put some effort behind it, and it could change your life. Never know.
Man, what year was that?
That was 2007.
So, man, it was like 2000. I'm in college, and I'm a sound engineer. And around the time hip hop really started to change, and it was going in the direction. Even though I'm getting my degree in this, I wasn't feeling it anymore. I didn't want to go down that path professionally. In the meantime, I'm putting Killer Instinct and stuff like that into my tracks, just personally, like to satisfy myself, thinking that the world would never be interested in that. And here we are 18 years later talking to, the champion of nerdcore hip hop. And we switched, and now here I am in education. And
that is wild. That is really wild. Like your story could have easily been my story. Like we could have flip-flopped easily. I'm writing a book right now, which is about all of my crazy experiences like that. And I don't know when it's going to be done. This is actually really hard work to write all these things down. But it was like 8th grade where I used to make mixtapes and be on my Sony Walkman. And that was, man, to age myself, but that was like 92, 93. And I used to sit my tape recorder next to the TV and record Yo MTV Raps and record the songs, Big Daddy Kane and whatever was playing, put it on a Walkman. And then on the flip side, I would record the video game soundtracks to the games I was playing. Mega Man, DuckTales, Sonic, and whatever. And I would walk to school with those in my
To the main office, can I have a custodian to the main office, please? Thank you.
They calling a custodian to the main office.
might be in trouble.
I'm sorry. So you were making cassette tapes off of your MTV Raps. Did you ever edit them? I was using nail products to literally cut and retape them back together.
Wow, that is some talent right there. I used to try to do it, but I always mess my tapes up. Like you would just literally cut out a piece and then retape it over. Oh man, that was hard work.
But we all know what the pencils were for.
Absolutely. Just
Yo, I gotta ask you. You were talking about, speaking of talent. What I thought was talent was when you really. There was a couple times where you really hit me. My son listens to it. My nephew separately listens to it because I was like, oh, this dude's gonna be on the podcast, and he was like, who? And then when I played the track, he goes, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Introvert bars, man. Introvert bars is my life. That literally happened to me. Where Daredevil is on Netflix. Peace out. I'm not putting on pants and leaving this house. It has happened to me, man.
It's happening again with the new season out. I'm like, oh nah, I'm staying home. Like I talk about that and I play it at every show, and I always thank people for coming outside because that's a real challenge with so much good entertainment at home. My couch is comfy, you know, my wife is very comfy, like my TV is great, like, you know what I mean? It's like Netflix is dope. So there's a lot to keep me in the house. So I think it's always very important and special when people can come out, because I know all the temptations to stay in are strong.
Yeah, it probably. Do you think, is this a stigma? Is this a stereotype? But like your genre, right? Does that attract more introverts? Do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of music does. You know, people enjoy stuff when people are saying the things that they maybe wish they could say, you know, or want to say, you know, so, or they would say if they were musicians or rappers. But yeah, we get a lot of introverted kids, a lot of, you know, kids that are maybe not as socially active or respondent as in other maybe audiences. You know, we got a bunch of shy kids, you know, who it is a lot of effort for them to come out the house. So, you know, I do appreciate when they can come through.
So, Maltech.
Oh yeah, what's your favorite game console?
Right now, my favorite is the Nintendo Switch. I really like that a lot. I like Mario. I'm playing Octopath Traveler, this role-playing game. It's really good. So yeah, I like the Switch.
Pencil, sorry. Yeah, man. All right, cool. I had a whole bunch of other. Does anybody else have a question? There's a whole bunch of questions on here that the authors are not here. They were here earlier. They wanted to ask your favorite video game
Of all time?
Let's go with all time and contemporary.
All right. Well, all time, Final Fantasy VII or Super Mario 3. But right now, Spider-Man is incredible.
Oh.
Yo, Spider-Man's dope, man. It made me dust off my stupid PlayStation so I could play Spider-Man.
Oh, it's so good, man. I've never wanted to platinum like 100% a game, but this game, like, I want to unlock everything. You know, that never happened.
And is Felicia Hardy. It's always been the Black Cat, so I just got that DLC and went through that in one sitting, man. I couldn't even fast enough. I did not like Kingpin, man. I thought every character made so much sense, except Kingpin was this like throwback mwahaha evil guy that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like all the other characters are really strong, but he's not as strong.
Real happy to see Miles in it though, man. As a Puerto Rican, just seeing representation is important.
That made me excited when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's what's up. And he's like a major part of the story. Like, this is awesome.
Where you at? Are you reading contemporary books? You reading new books?
Not a lot of Marvel these days. I'm reading Image. I love Saga, East of West, Sex Criminals. But once in a while, I'll pick up a Spider-Man. And
I can't refer these students to Saga just yet. Maybe in a couple of years for them. but Saga's like one of the best stories I've ever.
Incredible. Definitely not that or Sex Criminals or East of West for any of them. But yeah, nothing Image for them. But maybe Walking Dead if they're if they can handle it. But even that gets a little rough. But yeah, man, every once in a while I'll pick up a crazy one of those crossovers. I think the last one, I'm looking at my collection right now. I picked up a Street Fighter versus G.I. Joe. There's a Robotech versus Voltron short series that I really liked. The Mega Man comic is actually good. That's definitely something they could read, get into. And so yeah, whenever I can pick up, when I have time, I'll grab something good and pick it up.
That Capcom flew you. Did you go out to Capcom? Have you visited Capcom in Japan?
I have not. That's a really strange thing. I have not been to Capcom's offices. I've been in Japan a bunch of times. I've never been in their offices. The people that I worked with have all left Capcom, and I've been in their new company's offices. The guys who made Mighty Number 9, Kiji Inafune, the guy who actually designed Mega Man and created the first game, he works in another office. So I've been to his office and met him personally, and that was really cool.
Some of my students are organizing a trip to Japan this April. We going Studio Ghibli, but Malate, my video game designer extraordinaire, is trying to get into a video game. I'm trying to tell her Nintendo is straight cubicles down there. Like, we're gonna have to go somewhere fun.
Yeah, it's not gonna be fun to go to Nintendo. I mean, it would be dope to just stand outside the building, but it's not gonna look cool inside. Unfortunately, in Japan, it's not really about fun. You know what I mean? These guys work. So like he said, there's gonna be cubicles. I have friends who work in games out there, and it's not fun as I would think at all. And it's literally, one friend said they were looking for jobs, and people in Japan, it's kind of sad. They literally just work until they die. Like there's work, family, that's it. Like fun is a really separate thing that you don't always have time for out there. So he went to a couple of interviews, and he knew when he walked through the place, if he saw under their cubicles, if he saw like a duffel bag of clothes underneath the cubicle, like, that's the place I don't want to work, because a lot of those people literally work all night and just change there and shower there if they can, their bird bath, and they're right back to work the next day without even like leaving sometimes.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that a hard pass.
Yeah, definitely. So but make sure you get Ghibli passes. It's something that you have to do way in advance. So
yeah, this is our second go round. One of my students who's sleeping over here, she's over here. She's got a sleep thing. She killed somebody in Japan. She knows karate. We were doing an escape room, a Death Note escape room, and they running out with scissors and stuff. And she does karate and like flattens this. I just wanted to get out of there before Ryuk came down.
Oh snap!
So we made our way out. I gotta So they had a lot of questions about video games and culture. I had questions about education, but this one specifically for me, I don't think we have other students in the room for this particular genre. You hit me with Macho Man too, man. I can't help it, man. I wanna walk away, but I'm a lifelong fan of wrestling. Do you actually you probably get backstage. You probably met some of the dudes once or twice, no?
I have. I'm just lucky enough to be friends with one of the guys, Xavier Woods from the New Day. Real good friend of mine. And, he's a big gamer like me, and we met up over the love of games, and he was into my music, and we were just hanging out this past weekend at TwitchCon. So when there's an event in my area, he'll invite me to meet some of the guys and things like that. He was just telling the story, like embarrassing me around a bunch of my friends, because he introduced me to Bret Hart, and it was like a moment in my life where I I was just like, no, that's my guy. Like, you don't understand. Like, Bret Hart was my dude. So like, he's like laughing and joking about how like giddy I was when I took a picture with him, and like he was just mad cool too. Like, and he was talking to his sister too at the party, and I was like, all right, Bret, do your thing, man, do your thing. So I didn't want to bother him, but he like came over and we talked and we had a really good conversation, and I was just like, wow, like this dude is cool, like he's a human being, like, and he always makes fun of me on that because most of these guys I don't trip out about, but like a guy I've been literally watching since I was like 7, you know what I mean? It's like a whole different thing. That was almost like Michael Jackson to me.
I'm mad with you during the screw job. So this dude that he's talking about, this wrestler, they actually played him real hard. They played him real hard on wrestling one day.
Wait, wrestling? Okay, I have a question.
What's your question?
Is it WWA, is it true or is it acting?
Okay, go ahead.
It is scripted, but you know, it's still a lot of training to do the things that they do. But the end result of the match is scripted, so it's fake if you could call it that. But people can really get hurt. People really get upset and get their feelings hurt.
People, I mean, and people died. People have died recently. How did you feel during the screw job, man? Did that hit you?
Oh man, it did. I was out of wrestling for a quick moment, and then I came back right before that happened. So it was like, what? Like, cause he was filming his movie, which was crazy, at the same time. So they got all this backstage footage around that time. And it was so dirty, but for all these years, like I just was like, man, how could they do this guy like this? But then when I read other wrestlers' interviews, they all look at Brett as they call him a mark. He's like a guy who really believed in his character. But they're like, dude, this character is fake. Like, we wrote this character, you know? But he's like, no, but that's me in that character. Like, this is what the kids look up to. And I just like the fact that he believed in his character so much that that was the only way to get the title off of him, was to beat him. You know, like he wasn't gonna go for anything else.
How you feeling about today's stuff, man?
Oh, it's not as good at all. But there's better athletes now than ever. But like the drama isn't quite there like it used to be. But you know, I'm into it, man. I'm really hooked. I think we got better wrestlers now than ever, you know, and it's really cool to watch the stuff that they do.
Hey, say hi to Emmanuel. Emmanuel's been in the United States for 1 year now. Emmanuel's got a question for you.
Hi, I just wanted to ask you if you like anime.
I do. I like anime. I like Attack on Titan. I like Sword Art Online. I like a little bit of One Piece. And I just started My Hero Academia.
Yeah, that one didn't click with me. I wanted it to click, and I'm still trying. I'm still trying to get into that one.
Wait, what is that one?
My Hero Academia?
My Hero Academia anime.
All right. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait. I have a question. So you know how Netflix have come up with live movies from the anime shows like Full Metal Alchemist, Death Note, and what was that other one? What was that other one? I don't remember all the.
What's your question?
Do you like those movies, like how they have redo it again, like how they have come up with the script?
I haven't watched them. I heard the Death Note was pretty good, but I didn't watch it. I really want to watch the Castlevania as soon as I get some time. Yeah, the Castlevania looks really good. First season was dope. It was real bloody. I didn't expect it to be like adult, but it was really good.
This Castlevania?
Yeah, it's dope. You gotta check it out.
Castlevania. My beef with their version of Death Note is two things. One, there's a live action already in 06 and 07. They made 1 and 2. Part 3 don't even watch. But in Japan, super dope. But here in our Death Note, we got this super dope actor. I forgot his name. The dude from ATL. He was just in Sorry to Bother You or something like. I forgot the name of it.
Oh, okay.
This dude is super dope. And he's playing one of these characters, and I felt like because he was black, like as he's holding the gun, first of all, that character would never even mess with a gun, and when he does, he's all sideways with it, like super gang. I was pretty unhappy. Emmanuel had a follow up.
What do you think about Samurai X? Do you think it's too bloody? I mean, like Samurai X.
I haven't watched it. I'm not familiar. Is it good? Do you like it?
It's dope, not just good. You should watch it.
It's not just good. It's
not just good. It's dope. Okay. Is it on Netflix?
I already know, but if you get it on YouTube.
Yeah, it is.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Samurai X about that guy with that.
Yeah, with the scar.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Do we have any? We're gonna start wrapping up. Do we have any last questions over that way? And then Malate has one. I'm gonna go to Malate. Nicole, I'll come back to you. Malate, go.
What did you think of the Sonic Mega Man crossover comics?
Oh, those were actually really good. Surprisingly, I hadn't read the Sonic until they did the crossover. I started reading the Sonic comic, and I actually really liked it. Archie does a good job with their comics. I used to read Archie comics way back in the day, and they even have a show now, Riverdale, which is kind of decent. I watched like one episode, and I was like, no, this isn't bad. So I usually trust most things that Archie does. So I really like the Sonic Mega Man crossover.
Cool.
They need to make a game for it.
Yo, man, in a second, I'm gonna ask you if you have any shout outs that you wanted to give, or if you had any questions for us. But I'm making another assumption. My generation, right? My generation, just about similar paths, right? So I got these two properties that have never left me from the 80s. I don't care how corny people think they are, but The Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy is my jam. Are you familiar with The Last Dragon?
I am. I had a chance to meet that guy. He was I think he was at not PAX. He was at San Diego Comic-Con doing some signings. I had a chance to meet him. Really good dude.
He is Bruce Leroy.
Yeah, that's Bruce Leroy. And like I'm a fan. I wouldn't. Do you think they should remake it? Is that what you're getting at? Do you think a remake is?
Oh, I wonder if they can. I have theories that I should probably save for offline. Maybe I'll email you a theory about this, about how that movie was Motown versus hip hop, like subliminally, since Barry Gordy's, it was from his perspective. That's what it felt like to me, right? Like Bruce Leroy is Motown and old soul in this dying art form. And Shogun was like this new hip hop that was starting to come in and take over Barry Gordy's territory.
Wow, that's deep.
So my man, if we are some Last Dragon fans, I've got this super deep playlist for when I'm playing Rocket League, and thank you for being a large part of that playlist. No doubt, you're like at least 10% of that playlist.
Thank you.
When can I get some MegaRan Last Dragon or Big Trouble in Little China track?
Yo, I love Big Trouble in Little China. I've actually been thinking about that, so I might need to do that. I was talking about it with somebody, and man, Big Trouble in Little China is like one of my favorite movies of all time. It's like top 5 for me. It's one of those I know every word when it comes on.
Yes.
So like I think it's probably time. So what I do these things on Patreon. I do a track each month, or usually 2, if whatever I'm thinking about at the moment. So last month it was X-Men the animated series, the 90s show. So we did an X-Men animated series rap. So I don't know, next month it might actually be time to go into Big Trouble in Little China. I'm going to write that down because this is actually the second time it's come across my desk.
I'm all in on, and I know these students don't know it, so I make them watch it like every other year. I will force it upon these students.
I already saw it.
You watched it with me, right?
Yep.
I will.
I like the songs too.
And the songs was dope too. That was actually the director made the songs in that, which was super weird. Yeah, he plays guitar and stuff. Emmanuel is curious if you would wrap us out, and if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm cool with it. Nicole had a question. Nicole,
What's your favorite Muppet?
Muppet.
Ralph was the one on the piano, right? No, he was the
On the piano.
He played the piano, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Ralph because I like dogs, and I don't know. I always felt like he felt like a black dude, so I was like, yeah, I rock with Ralph.
Yes, it's out of nowhere question. I love that. Thank you.
That was really good. I've never been asked that. Thanks.
Yeah, that was Nicole. I think we saw a Muppet in one of your videos. I think there was like a Muppet or something.
I did in introvert bars. We use puppets.
Yeah.
So maybe that was where that came from. My friend MC Frontalot has a great puppet video called Stoop Sale. He's been playing it the whole tour. It's called Stoop Sale by MC Frontalot. it's all puppets about him like picking up a magical item at a yard sale. It's so good.
Yo, man, I'm a fan of Front a lot too. Like he's got some good stuff. I like there's like two like MC Chris stuff that I kind of like Fet's Vet and stuff. Who's your people right now? Who you rolling with?
Well, I was on a tour just now with MC Front a lot, MC Lars, and Shape of the Dark Lord. When I'm in Arizona, my crew is called the Writers Guild. It's 4 MCs that are really, really dope. Myself, Mr. Miranda, Penny the Great, and Rocky Tirade. And I do a wrestling podcast every week called Matt Mania with a crew, Teak Hall, Rock Knowledge, and Neo X, where we just talk wrestling and hip hop for an hour and talk about the similarities. That's always a fun thing. So this week, you know how Double XL does the freshman cover. So yeah, we're gonna talk about like who our freshmen are in wrestling this year, like who our top freshmen are. So that's what is that?
About this
He can't bring it all the way up to the camera.
Oh, I see it. I can see exactly who it is. What is the purpose of this?
What's your question?
So we're playing memes, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say about this meme?
Wait, is there a word under him or what's that say?
It says what?
But WWUT, and like, what would be the caption for that?
Okay.
This is getting weird.
When you're, I'll say, when your barber says, "Let me handle it."
Your contribution. So I'm gonna start wrapping up. I want to ask you. You talked about Patreon. Where do people follow you? I've got a weird. I don't know who listens to us, but in education, for some reason, we're top ranked. Where should people follow you, and where should they check out your podcast, your Insta? Where should we check you out?
That's awesome. Okay, so music is at megaranmusic.com. My podcast is also at megaran.com/podcast. Also, it's on iTunes, Spotify, everywhere you get music. My merch is at megaranmerch.com. And also my tour dates and things like that. And my Patreon is patreon.com/bits and rhymes, BITS and rhymes, RHYMS. And then there we do 2 songs a month. And what else is going on? I think that's all the places you can find me.
Hopefully we'll find you at PAX, man. We'll make sure we say what's up.
Fingers are crossed. I hope to see you guys there.
That would be super dope. Do you have?
At least I got asked about doing an after party, so I would at least be there for that at the very least.
All right. I don't know if I keep my students out that late because it's a drive for us, but we'll see.
I understand.
You have any
question for y'all? Okay,
yeah.
So you're in Providence, right?
We are.
Okay, this is the home of Hasbro. So do y'all ever get to go over there and see new G.I. Joe toys or old classic Transformers or
G.I. Joe
ponies or something?
Like you, I'm a ridiculous G.I. Joe fan. Malate, from this generation, Malate is the biggest Transformers fan that I know in her entire generation. So we just went to see the anniversary of the Transformers animated movie.
Oh yeah, classic.
So of that, I almost cried again. We'll do that. We'll do it after. I got students trying to find you right now on the. So yeah, we have 2 members of Hasbro on our board, and even still, it's Fort Knox. We are trying to get inside Hasbro. We wanna do programs at Hasbro. When I have to do these stupid fundraisers, bye Nicole saying bye. When we have to do these stupid fundraisers, I want a Steambox fundraiser at Hasbro. You down? You want the invite when I finally make that happen?
Yes. Heck yeah, I wanna be there.
Yo, when I finally make that happen, I will make sure to invite you.
That's a little sad to know that they don't like offer tours like to local students and stuff. Like,
well, they have before. There's a very young organization, and they already have like 3 nonprofits that they work with regularly. So I need to get up in that mix. You know, I'm working, believe me, that's the top thing I'm working on. That's the only thing I'm working on when it comes to like fundraising and community partners. It's Hasbro, because I'm the same I got that heart very similar to you. I'm sure you got a whole bunch of soul stuff happening in your heart that I ain't got, but that we agree on, man. I grew up on Larry Hammer, G.I. Joe, just like you, man. That's my, as a matter of fact, what you're gonna see me write a fan fiction where Cobra is the good guys and G.I. Joe is the fascists, man. That's coming from me one day.
Whoa, okay. I can't wait for that.
I can't wait for that neither. I've been talking bullshit about that for years, but maybe one day. Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah, I just want to shout out everybody listening and shout out you guys, man. Shout out to Steambox. You guys are doing a great thing. You know, anytime I can talk to youth, I'm always down to do it. So this is a really exciting part of my day. So so shout out to y'all for doing a great thing and for being number one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. My program is usually over a half hour ago, so I've got like stragglers left. But my man,